This is Doctor Talks, real talk from real doctors on the issues that matter to you most.
Hi there, it's Dr. Jen. Welcome back to the Breast Cancer Breakthrough Summit. You are in for something really special because I have my friend Esther Blum here. She is the author of Eat, Drink, and Be Gorgeous, Cavewomen Don't Get Fat, and See You Later, Ovulator. So Esther brings with her a breadth of knowledge for women on their life's journey. And actually, at each stage in her life's journey, she has contributed such amazing content to help people to navigate that stage. And I'm so delighted to have her here today to help us navigate this space. So, Esther, welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me here. You're like the best friend I've never met.
I know. We have to do this in person one of these days.
I know, seriously.
Definitely have to do this in person one of these days.
Seriously.
So, the topic of hormone replacement is heated on any stage and in any room, and nowhere is it more heated than in the breast cancer population. Mm-hmm. So having written books about each stage in our kind of hormonal lifespan, can you start by talking to us a little bit about why you wrote the books at each stage and catch us up to like what life is like when you don't have any hormones?
Yeah. Well, it was very organic. Each book I wrote was really the book that I wish someone wrote for me at that phase in my life. So Eat, Drink, and Be Gorgeous. I mean, this was my ode to my 20s. I mean, Jen, I had to personally research the hangover recovery section. So I was like a martini in one hand and a wheatgrass in the other. And I really wrote about the humans I was treating. Now, I've always treated menopausal women in my practice, but they weren't the primary component of my practice until years later when, I'm 53 now. So obviously, late 30s is when I really started getting heavy into perimenopause and menopause. Although I have a woman as young as 29 who I've treated, and she went into full-blown menopause. And I'm seeing women younger and younger go into perimenopause and even menopause. So
why do you think that is? Because, if a woman comes to her gynecologist in her 20s or 30s and starts reporting menopausal symptoms, those people are quickly dismissed. And those are the people that 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line are going to turn up with a breast cancer diagnosis because they started to show the symptoms of hormone imbalance then.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So what happens is, I believe a couple of things are happening. Number one, I do believe our receptor sites are clogged. I really do, for hormones. I mean, think about it. We are swimming in plastics, right? There are so many estrogen disruptors that are mimicking the effect of estrogen in the body, and the hormones can't reach their targeted receptor sites. So we want to think about, as women, I love myself some makeup, ladies, but I'm really careful with the quality of the products I'm using and making sure that they don't have endocrine disruptors in them. And I just think about all the makeup I put on my face, how many chemicals, how many products, ingredients are in just that, plus our shampoo, conditioner, and then products, plus our nails, plus our sunscreen, our skin lotion, all the things. So our receptor sites are clogged. We also are not always eating 100% organic. So that can absolutely disrupt our delicate endocrine balance. And then also, women are put on birth control pills for easily 30 years of their life, 20, 30 years.
Absolutely. Without giving it a thought.
Without giving it a thought, without ever giving your hormone receptor sites a break there. And then from there, they go to hormones, and some women go to pellets, which again, talk about never giving your receptor sites a break. So I think it's a multifaceted environmental hormonal storm.
Yeah. And those first things that you talked about, the plastics, and we didn't mention antibiotics, but antibiotics are in there, and the makeup and the shampoo and conditioner and all these things with the fragrance and the sunscreen and skin lotion and things with triclosan and the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides that come along with not eating organic foods. These are in constant supply. And as you said, they are acting on our hormone receptor sites, and they're not only are they acting there abnormally, but then we also have to clear all of those things. And detoxification is a whole other side of things that we're not aware of. And
Correct.
when women come in complaining of these symptoms, whatever it is, heavy periods or mood swings or whatever it is, and they're put on birth control pills, there's really no investigation that happens first.
Correct. Exactly. And I was just at A4M, and many of the physicians there were saying how, speaking out against the dangers of oral contraceptives, because that oral synthetic estrogen and the synthetic progestins have a much greater risk of cancer. And this is your zone of genius, not mine, but I'm just sharing the info. Much greater risk of cancer than bioidentical hormones, which are often applied transdermally. Progesterone is oral if it's a troche or prometrium, but topical estrogen and testosterone is A, given at a fifth of the dose of the birth control pill, and B, the transdermal creams do not have the same risks, and also a far lower risk of clotting and strokes with transdermal versus oral, and bioidentical versus synthetic. So it's all those things. Yeah,
it is all those things. And the other part about taking it orally is that it goes to the liver. Whereas when you apply it topically, you're just directly absorbing it into the bloodstream. So our liver is already charged with so much work, right? Because it basically has to detoxify every single thing that we put in and on us. And
that is correct. And that is why I look at methylation pathways. I look at how your liver is moving your hormones through, and I look at how your gut is moving hormones through. And listen, I learned that, you correct me, the statistic I heard at A4M was that 1 in 8 women is genetically prone to developing cancer. Is that accurate?
Well, 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer over their lifetime. I mean, that's a statistic that we've known for ages.
Okay.
We're actually, I believe that statistic is going to get worse. And we're going to see it in younger ages.
Yes. But we also learned that so much of it was environmental, that like now tell me if I'm wrong, please. 5 to 10% was the percentage that was hormone dependent for cancers, and the rest was environmental?
5 to 10% is the percentage of women whose breast cancers can be attributed to a known genetic mutation. Okay. But I will argue that even in that population of women, and we're talking about women that have like a BRCA mutation, a BRCA1 or a BRCA2 mutation. And in those women, those genes are actually protective genes. Those are anti-breast cancer genes. And people who have a mutation are born with a defective copy. And so they are not able to make the DNA repairs required to avoid breast cancer. And so that's why those women are susceptible to developing breast cancers, ovarian cancers, various other kinds of cancers. But the thing is, 100% of people with BRCA mutations do not develop the disease. So there's something else in play there, and that's the environment. And our environment is responsible for at least 80% of cancers, at least.
Yeah.
Now, this is not to have people feel guilty. It's not about blame or shame. I hope that people take that statistic and can feel empowered, because what you can do with that information is create an environment that doesn't foster cancer. And I hope that that was the message that you heard at A4M.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, always cleaning up stealth infections, cleaning up, so if you have Lyme or long COVID, if you have mold exposure, if you have mercury toxicity, just cleaning those up and cleaning up your detoxification pathways can do wonders. And a big question I get often is, well, what happens if you have the genetic mutations and the SNPs? If you are MTHFR mutation, can you still take hormones? And the answer is yes. If you are supporting your pathways well, yes. Before I went on hormones, I was not a good methylator at all. And now, like, I retest my methylation. It's gotten way stronger over the years.
Yeah.
With some supplements. And just a couple of small lifestyle tweaks, but not even much, just even supplements dramatically improved. It's not, I mean, it's like 2 pills a day that I'm taking that made a difference. Nothing crazy, which were, by the way, a B complex and a broccoli concentrate. That's it, people. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. It's nothing major.
And no glutathione. Yeah. That's it.
And the thing is that knowledge is power. So to know that you struggle with methylation, or to know that you have a slow COMT gene, or in knowing those things, you can absolutely do things to empower those processes. So like, I know someone, if they have a slow COMT gene, I'm going to make sure that they have enough magnesium, B6, B9, B12. Maybe they need some SAMe to supplement. So there are things that we can do to help people with that process. But again, knowledge is power, and people need to know about it.
That's right.
Yeah. And so tell us about your latest book, See You Later, focuses on this menopausal state. And almost everyone who either you came to breast cancer because you're already postmenopausal, which is where we see the vast majority of breast cancers being diagnosed in the woman who is already postmenopausal, or if you're premenopausal, either the treatments or you are in, or you have surgery or something along those lines puts you into menopause, because like, we don't let anyone have hormones after breast cancer. I'm not sure why, but that is the typical practice, and women are really suffering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
which is
can
why
you some of the things that are happening? Why did you write that book? And tell us about the things that are physiologically happening at that time.
I wrote that book because I was so sick and tired and pissed off watching women get gaslit day in and day out. I mean, there's a little banner on the back of the book. It says Gaslight Free Zone, because I see that the medical system is not changing, right? It's not changing for doctors. It's certainly not changing for dietitians. It's all so antiquated. Nobody's updating their research. And I was like, rather than waiting for the system to change, which, please, we will be old and gray by then, or young and gray, but either way, rather than waiting for the system to change,
I'm not going to be gray, just so you know.
I'm not either. Not for a long time.
Don't hold your breath for that.
I know. No, I do love my brunette, but I wanted to say to women, here are the tools. Here's everything you need to advocate for yourself at the doctor's office. You don't have to be a menopause expert, but I threw 100 studies in the back of the book, and I broke down for women ways to ask for support at the doctor's office. And I'm going to share them here now. Very, very simple. Okay. Number one, there is such compelling research to show the safety and efficacy of low dose bioidentical hormones. Okay. And so you can go, a lot of doctors will say, I'm not going to discuss hormones with you, or you don't need hormones. I'm not even going to test you. Great. So you have two trajectory potentials options at that point. Number one is you stay with your doctor and you negotiate because you want to work with an insurance doctor. You don't want to pay more than you need to out of pocket. And at that point, you say, I've read the studies on menopause here. They're in the back of this book. And I've read the studies on hormones, and I've seen enough evidence to show that they're safe and effective and are going to enhance my quality of life. Why don't you let me try them for 3 months? The FDA has approved these hormones and I can get them at my pharmacy. Why don't you let me try for 3 months? I'm really suffering. I'm not sleeping. My libido stinks. I have vaginal dryness. I've put on weight and my mood is terrible. I'm depressed and anxious and having brain fog. Please partner with me. Will you partner with me to help me get better? I won't hold you liable. Just please help me. I would imagine as a doctor, it's hard to say no at that point. And I get that it can feel really uncomfortable to confront someone in a white coat. So please bring your loudmouth bestie, sister, aunt, cousin, mom with you for moral support, please.
Yeah.
Okay. That's step number one. Step two is you say, you know what? I've had it with the system. I'm leaving. And you can call up a local compounding pharmacy in your state and say, what doctors are running hormones through? What doctors are prescribing hormones through my compounding pharmacy? You can use Google functional medicine doctor with your zip code, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy with your zip code, but do your due diligence. A lot of practices are doing pellets or injections. You don't want to do that either because there's no clinical studies, 0 on pellets.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, it never gives your hormone receptors a break and it's way higher of a dose than you need and you can never control the release.
Yeah.
Right.
I have found there are so many people using pellets. I'm not sure why.
I think I know why. Well, A, it's money making, but B, a lot of people say I didn't get results on bioidentical hormones. And I think it's because the receptor sites are clogged and you need to clean those up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your hormones will actually work. And when you're on bioidentical hormones, you need to take 1 day off a week. Give your body a break.
Yep. Yep. Or you can do it that way. You can cycle them like a birth control pill would be cycled, back in the day, before we put people on birth control pills continuously because we decided that like bleeding was bad. But back in the day, you would take birth control pills for 3 weeks and then off for a week. And then, we stopped doing that because it was inconvenient for people to have a period.
Right.
Sometimes I just don't understand my fellow physicians, but that's a topic for another day.
I'm with you.
But I agree with you that when we talk about these methods of hormone replacement, we need to be very cognizant and thoughtful about the delivery methods because they're not all the same. They don't all have the same efficacy. They don't all have the same benefits. And some of them actually have detriments. So that, when people talk about the risk of blood clots increasing with hormone replacement, that only applies to oral estrogen.
Yes.
It does not apply to topical estrogen. And most doctors are not aware of that. They think that all hormone replacement increases blood clot risk, and it's simply not true.
That's correct.
And I agree with you with the pellets. It's very hard to regulate the dosing. And many of these women are highly, highly, highly overdosed with pellets. And that's a problem too.
It is.
This is a Goldilocks place, right? We don't want to give too little because then you don't get the benefit, but we definitely don't want to give too much because we don't want to overstimulate and we don't want to over toxify. We don't want to overburden the body because, hormones are bioidentical or our endogenous hormones. This all has to be detoxified. Yeah. We do have to break these down. We do have to turn them from something that's fat soluble into something that is water soluble and get rid of them. And, that's a part of it too, that people are walking around on hormone replacement and they're also not pooping. So they don't realize that they're getting dosed and dosed and dosed and dosed and dosed, because that's how we clear it from our body. So constipation is a huge problem in our society, and we don't talk about it because it's not nice to talk about poop. Although I would imagine as a nutritionist, you talk about poop plenty.
Oh yeah. My husband says, I should have a mug that says poop is my business. I mean, it's one of the benchmarks of success of being a healthy person is pooping, by the way, not just once every 4 to 5 days, but 1 to 3 times a day. Absolutely. So we do need to poop every day. We need to take out the trash every day. Oh, look at that poop emoji pillow. Oh,
I'm serious about poop.
I seriously need that next to like a big uterus and ovaries pillow as well.
Yeah.
My son calls me the vagina doctor. I'm like, well, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a vagician. Yes, that is true.
Oh, vagician, I love that.
That's what I call my pelvic floor therapist. I called her my vagician. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the gut, because it is so important when we have this hormonal conversation. So how does that fit into the whole hormone balance picture for you?
So we have in our microbiome, we have a subset of bacteria called the estrobolome, which is responsible for metabolizing estrogen and hormones. That is its sole job. So ironically, during perimenopause, late perimenopause, with the decline in estrogen and progesterone comes also a decline in that gorgeous mucosal lining inside the small intestine. So all of a sudden, we're more bloated, we're having food sensitivity, our hydrochloric acid production goes down, we're more prone to H. pylori and bacterial overgrowth, some of which is inflammatory, more prone to SIBO and candida. So optimizing your gut health, balancing your microbiome, putting in digestive enzymes, and hydrochloric acid in particular is important because it does act as a firewall to prevent bacterial overgrowth.
Yeah.
And healing up a leaky gut, all of those can reestablish when you colonize and regrow the beneficial bacteria. And it's completely possible to do in a matter of months when you can really clean it up. Then what happens is you do metabolize your estrogen properly. There is an enzyme you can check called beta glucuronidase. And if that is within normal limits, and you're pooping every day, that will really help you not be estrogen dominant in menopause, which you can be actually estrogen dominant in menopause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we do see that, especially in people who are overweight, especially in people who are overtoxic, because of all of those things that we talked about in the beginning. Because even though your ovaries may not be producing estrogen, if you are, drinking out of plastic, cooking in plastic, storing in plastic, using traditional skin products, self-care products, cleaning your home with traditional products, I say most people start off their day with a cup of coffee from a Keurig, which they're basically like drinking, liquid plastic for breakfast.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes. It's like you can just get a gold filter that is reusable. Yep. You can brew coffee that way, beautiful, or a French press, right? Anything in glass, anything or metal that's chemically inert and is not going to leach into your food. And then drinking from a glass or a reusable thermos cup versus the styrofoam or the paper cups, which still have, forever chemicals lining them.
That's exactly right. Like the whole reason that your paper coffee cup doesn't break down is because it's lined in plastic. Right? Because if it weren't, it would be like the Dixie cups that we used to use as a kid. And like, you had to drink your water fast because it disintegrated just before your eyes. I'm talking about like the old school Dixie cups that didn't have anything. And like literally, if you didn't drink your water fast, it was dripping out of the bottom. It was just paper, right? Which is technically what it should be.
Yes.
So you talked about a bunch of things, a decrease in hydrochloric acid. Say more
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, so stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, right? We all need fire in our belly. Most people are afraid of stomach acid. People get reflux in menopause, or just because they're overweight, or they're deficient in zinc, or they're deficient in stomach acid, because if you have a pathogenic bacteria, something like H. pylori, what it does is it tells your stomach to shut off the production of stomach acid so it can survive in a very alkaline environment. Well, viruses and bacteria cannot survive in an acidic environment. So number one, I do spend time getting people off their proton pump inhibitors, or, their Prilosec or Prevacid. And
which we should say, those drugs, when they were approved to be used for 2 to 4 weeks. And
exactly.
There are people on those proton pump inhibitors for years.
So guess what happens, people? You lose your bones, you don't absorb your minerals, you developed Alzheimer's. There's like some very, very real side effects to that.
And cancer.
Yeah. Of course. How did I miss that? Yes, of course. So I heal people's gut, quelling the inflammation, taking them off gluten and dairy when necessary. Believe it or not, aloe in water is incredibly healing. Giving them glutamine powder and slippery and okra and a lot of mucilaginous herbs, which are going to reestablish that beautiful mucosal lining. And then also giving things like zinc, and gradually reintroducing stomach acid once I have cleaned out H. pylori, which can also cause reflux, or any dysbiosis or inflammatory overgrowth. And once we repair that, the few people I have not been able to heal with this usually have a hiatal hernia. They may require surgery or chiropractic adjustments regularly. So sometimes, yes, it is a structural issue, but unless there is a structural issue, it's absolutely reversible. And my favorite was, I had a client who came to me. She was single in New York City with her son. And he was like, "Mom, you have seriously wicked halitosis." And she was like, "How am I supposed to date and meet men? I don't know what to do." So she came to me, and she was menopausal, but she didn't want to do hormones. So we cleaned up her gut. We got rid of her H. pylori. I had to treat her. I treated her with herbs and nutrients. So it did take some time. It took a good 4 to 5 months to really fully eradicate it, but we kept retesting her. We saw her levels come down. Her halitosis improved. She also cut out wine, so her reflux went away. And she then, when we finished working together, she had met the love of her life, who was an old friend. She reconnected with him, and they were happily dating, and that was that. So what we did, though, was really, again, reestablish her stomach acid and kill off pathogenic bacteria. It was that simple, and a couple diet changes, and that was it.
And I think that is so important for people to understand, that as we age, our stomach acid just naturally decreases. We stop producing as much stomach acid, and there are so many repercussions of that happening when your stomach is not acidic. And this is without the help of proton pump inhibitors and acid blockers and things like that. We will just naturally make less acid. And as a result, we have less productive digestion. We won't absorb things like protein as well. We won't get to our minerals as well. We won't break down food as well. And when you don't break down food, that's when you start to have these autoimmune situations and these allergic situations and things like that. So it is so important to make sure that you have adequate stomach acid. You also talked a little bit about enzymes. Enzymes also help us to break down our food. Are you regularly helping people with enzyme supplementation?
Yes, when they need it, absolutely. And I would say 60 to 70% of the people I treat need it, not only to treat, but also to prevent, because not everyone does have H. pylori. Sometimes they just have a deficiency in stomach acid, which enables pro-inflammatory bacteria, staph and strep. And I see E. coli, I see Giardia, when we have proper fire in the belly, when our stomach is a cauldron of fire, it really eradicates that overgrowth. And yes, I'll use some herbal microbials to clean them up, but long-term prevention is just putting in digestive enzymes with hydrochloric acid. It's really simple. You just take it with food. And like you said, you will break down and absorb your nutrients. So and this is especially important because I see a lot of women in menopause and they say, I can't meet my protein needs. I can't even tolerate red meat. I feel like I can't digest it. If you are not digesting red meat, you are deficient in stomach acid. And so once you 100%. Add it in, or when you've lost your taste for meat, you're also deficient. Say, I can't stand it anymore. It repels me. It's your body's way of saying, I can't handle it right now. But once you put in stomach acid, often the taste and the cravings do return for red meat.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we need to be more in tune with those signals that our body's sending us because they're meaningful. They're meaningful. And truth be told, I think that it is impossible to be healthy unless you have a healthy gut. It is really the center of everything. Obviously, it is where we get our nutrients and nourishment, but it's also the center of our immune system. Yes. And 80% of our microbiome lives in our gut, and 70% of our immune system lives in our gut, and they are in constant communication with one another. And
they are lovers. Yes. Yeah, they're lovers, besties, the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah. And we need to foster a really good relationship there. Right.
Amen.
And the way to do that is to make sure that your gut is in the right condition.
Yes.
And it is impossible, in my experience, it is impossible to heal from breast cancer unless you have done this work and made sure that the gut is healthy. And it's impossible to have hormone balance without a healthy gut.
That's right. One of the coolest speakers I've heard speak on cancer is Donnie Yance. Do you know Donnie Yance?
No.
He started the Mederi Foundation and he trained, I don't think he's practicing now. He trained a whole slew of practitioners to treat patients with cancer. And he's worked with very closely with NIH on this, where he does his treatments alongside chemo. He does natural medicine so people don't lose their hair, they don't have the side effects, and they increase their longevity. And his whole approach, and I have a feeling it's yours too, is he doesn't try and kill the cancer. He looks at your deficiencies and imbalances, like gut health, like immune function, and optimizes and supports those, and adrenal function, and really makes the body resilient, because we all have the genes for cancer. It's whether or not they express themselves, and environment, genetics are the gun, and environment pulls the trigger. So when you make yourself more resilient, and by the way, it's the same for long COVID, for Lyme, some people will go after and really try and treat the COVID and the Lyme, and you should, but after a while, right, some co-infections become really hard to treat, or some long COVID can be hard to treat if you're always in a kill-off phase, especially. So the goal is to make the body resilient.
Yeah, you can't be killing all the time.
You can't be killing all the time.
And ultimately, when we think about it, because Lyme is everywhere, why do some people get sick and other people don't? Because it's the state of their immune system. And we are all exposed to all these chemicals, right? Why do some people get breast cancer and others don't? It's because we all have a bucket. Some people have a really big bucket. Some people have a really little bucket. Some people clear that bucket quickly. Other people don't. And so in as much as we can do all of those things that you spoke about, in as much as we can do things to build our health, to empower ourselves and our systems, if you have a healthy immune system, you're not getting breast cancer. Amen. And at the end of the day, breast health is health. And the same things that you're going to do to create healthy breasts are going to create a healthy body. And so like the person that you were referencing, I do not focus on the tumor. And so many people want to tell me, well, I have this, I have, I have an ERPR positive, and I'm hormone dominant, and I'm this and I'm that, and I have a HER2 positive tumor. And I mean this in the nicest possible way. Like, I don't care about your tumor. I care about you.
Yeah.
I care about making you healthy. And when I make you healthy, disease goes away.
Yeah.
These things do not live in harmony with one another, because the environment that fosters health doesn't house disease. Disease doesn't benefit in that kind of situation. And so the things that you talked about today, building health, that is the key to hormone balance. That is the key to reversing breast cancer. That is the key to having real health.
Amen. And I love what you say to your patients, because they're no longer handing over their health to their diagnosis. They're empowered and be like, there is so much, okay, I do have a tumor, that is true, but I can change 200 other things. And not, I can make cancer my bitch, just the way I treat women to make menopause their bitch. Like, doesn't have to be the end of your life. It can be the beginning of a whole new trajectory.
And that's exactly what I hope for people. That this is not a punishment, and I'm not saying it's a blessing, but it is an opportunity. Yeah. It is an opportunity, should you choose to make it one, and should you choose to take this moment, to take this opportunity to build your health, you can and will have better health after your diagnosis than you ever had before.
Amen.
And thank you so much to people like you who make that possible, who allow people to see the potential of their bodies and the potential of their health. And I thank you so much for being here today, for doing the work that you do, and for really helping people to live their best lives.
It's a privilege to be here with you. So thanks for having me, Dr. Jen.
Keep writing books.
Can I give your listeners a giveaway?
Please, we would love that.
All right. Well, for all of you listening, I have a free gift. It is my menopausal metabolic meal plan. And all you have to do is enter your email at estherblum.com/recipes.
That is awesome. We will make sure that everyone has the link to your website so that they can do that. And I'm sure it's fantastic, because you're fantastic.
Thank you. And come hang with me on Instagram. I'm at Gorgeous Esther on Instagram.
You got it. You got it. It's Dr. Jen. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Talks. We hope today's episode has enlightened and inspired you on your path to optimal health. Each day is a new opportunity to make choices that empower your well-being. For more insights and strategies, subscribe to our podcast and visit our website, www.drtalks.com. Stay connected, stay healthy, and join us next time on Dr. Talks, real talks from real doctors on the issues that matter to you most.